After putting their lives on the line to maintain law and order, police officers eventually get to retire and enjoy their elderly years. But some cops leave the force not because of age, but because of their corrupt acts. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at some corrupt cops who ended their careers in the most shocking ways. Before we begin, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you can stay up to date with our latest videos. We'll begin with the case of police officer Rodney Dunn. On the 9th of July 2020, Nicole Harper was traveling along the highway when she got clocked by Trooper Rodney for driving way above the speed limit. The officer flashes for her to stop, but while she's trying to find a place to park, the officer rams her from the back and causes her car to somersault on the highway. The officer doesn't show any sign of remorse after the accident, even after he discovered she was pregnant.
The only one in the vehicle?
Yes!
Okay.
Pregnant!
Well, ma'am, you've got to pull over when we stop. It doesn't matter, ma'am.
And was still pointing fingers at her. She would eventually file a suit against Rodney and the state police department, and she got a settlement for an undisclosed sum. Mark Burke and Duncan Roberts. Mark and Duncan responded to a domestic violence call, but couldn't get into the house as the man had locked himself in, so they decided to break in. The officers demanded that he open the door, but he refused, so they kicked the door down, tackled him, put him in cuffs, and held him at the back of their car for 2 hours without any charges before letting him go. They got charged for illegal trespassing, damaging property, and illegal arrest. Robert Bareno. During the course of a narcotic investigation, 42-year-old Timmy Miles is pulled over and asked to step out of his vehicle. When he refused, Officer Bareno started to drag him out while choking and punching him in the face.
Go!
He eventually got him out and found nothing on him. This didn't stop him, as he went on to search his car without a warrant and charge him for possession with intent to distribute. But although the charge was knocked off, Officer Robert was charged with assault and battery and eventually fired. Sarah Muni. Around 9 p.m. sometime in November 2020, the police department had been called to a collision, and the person they saw on the scene was Officer Sarah Muni. She was acting erratically and swearing at the other officers on the scene. They then approached other people, where a man showed them a video of Officer Muni being intrusive and behaving inappropriately.
Hey, excuse me?
Honestly, like, idiots didn't lock the door, but whatever.
No, no one expects someone to do it.
Right now.
When questioned, she denied and even got more combative. She was later discovered to be drunk and was suspended without pay. If you're enjoying the video, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so you don't miss any of our amazing videos. Justin Henderson. Dr. Paramjit Parmar was driving into his refugee center when he honked for an officer who was on his way. The officer, Justin Henderson of the Aurora Police Force, got out of his vehicle and started pointing his gun at the doctor. The doctor was uncomfortable and asked the officer to leave his property, but they refused.
On my property, leave.
Stay in the car.
No.
With Galena.
You're in my property. You can get off it now.
It's your property?
I own it.
The officer kept on harassing the doctor and even followed him into the building, even after he complained and asked him to leave his property several times. Officer Justin had shot a 22-year-old having a mental episode a year earlier, but was cleared of all charges. This time he got suspended for a week without pay and made to go for de-escalation training. Ryan Speakman. On the 4th of July 2023, commercial truck driver Jadarius Rose got pulled over on the highway for missing a flap. He initially stopped but later drove off after he was scared by a gun. This led to a high-speed chase between him and the police. He eventually stopped and got out of the vehicle to find himself surrounded by police. The police officers were yelling at Jadarius to get down, but one police officer, Ryan Speakman, used more than just words. He released his canine and sent him to attack even after being told to stand down by the other police officers. They were eventually able to get the dog away, but not after he had done a lot of damage. Officer Ryan was kicked off the force. Officer Turner. In September 2019, the police got a call from the Nixon Academy principal about a 6-year-old who had attacked a teacher. This 6-year-old was named Kaya Roll, and the officer who responded to the call was Officer Turner. You would expect the officer to be more sensitive, since the suspect is a 6-year-old, but the officer doesn't compromise Instead, he forces the 6-year-old into cuffs and drags her to his vehicle while Kaya is crying and squealing in fear.
What? No!
He then takes her to the police station and charges her with battery. The news about what happened and how the police handled it got out and caused a lot of chaos in the community. The charges were eventually dropped and Officer Turner lost his job. Officers Courtney Brown and Kristen Wilson. In April of 2018, Sarah Webb was pulled over by Officer Courtney Brown and Christy Wilson for overspeeding. Sarah knew they were right. She apologized and explained to the officers that she was rushing to work. But instead of just handing her a speeding ticket, the officers decide whether to charge her with a coin toss. They drag Sarah to the police station confused and in tears. Needless to say, both officers were fired. Joseph Bogard. In September 2017, Timothy Davis was confronted by Columbus officers, and when he refused to comply, they beat him up mercilessly, and he suffered serious injuries, including kidney failure and broken ribs. He was then taken into custody and charged, but a video of the entire ordeal was leaked, and it caused an outrage in the community. Though the assault had involved several officers, one officer, Joseph Bogard, who was caught on camera making a nasty comment, was the only one who was suspended. Marco Burke. Just after midnight on the 10th of May 2018, Officer Marco Burke was called to the scene of a car crash. On getting there, he searched the vehicle and came out with nothing but was placed under arrest before the end of his shift and charged with 5 counts of theft. Turns out he had been under investigation after an AR-15 gun went missing with him as the prime suspect. The car crash had apparently been staged to set him up and he fell for the trap. The cameras caught him stealing $1,100 cash and a bottle of OxyContin. He was found guilty of 3 felonies and lost his reputation and his job. Justin Augustin. Officer Justin Augustin called Lieutenant Rick Brand and told him he had crashed his car while trying to pee as he drove. It sounded strange, and on getting to the scene it was obvious that Officer Augustin was drunk. Lieutenant Brand tried to convince him to take an alcohol test, but he refused and insisted he wanted to leave. After a little argument, he broke down in tears and admitted he had consumed some amount of alcohol. He was detained and found guilty of handling a weapon and operating a vehicle while under the influence. Nathan Meyer. On March 29, 2019, a patrol car was parked in the middle of the road with the engines still running. It gathered a lot of attention and was eventually surrounded by several police vehicles, including police trucks. The cops approached the vehicle to find Officer Nathan Meyer passed out in the driver's seat. It looked like he had gotten drunk and passed out in his vehicle. He was taken to the hospital and later sent home. You would think an incident like that would get him kicked off the force, but he was just demoted as officers did their best to cover it up, including putting off their body cam while at the scene. Oscar Mayorga. On July 4, 2022, a couple in Lake County, Florida had called to report a patrol vehicle that ran a stop sign and swerved across the road. The police responded immediately and found a cop car driving dangerously. They immediately pulled the car over to discover the driver was Officer Oscar Mayorga. He claimed to have had a seizure, but it was quite obvious that he was drunk and an open can of alcohol was found in his car. He refused to take a sobriety test because he feared going to jail. Paramedics soon arrived and he was taken to the hospital where a breathalyzer test showed that his blood alcohol level was almost 5 times above normal. He was put on administrative leave without pay. Which cop surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. You can also let us know what videos you'll like to see in future. If you enjoyed this video, then please like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you'll always be in the loop on the latest from Yarrow Crime. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.